Stoddard was on the North Carolina State team with David Thompson, Monty Tao, and Tom Burleson back in 1974, the team that ended the string of UCLA championships. Of course, Dave Winfield played basketball at the University of Minnesota. Last year, they traded Dennis Rasmussen, who had played at Creighton and opposed Larry Bird in college basketball, traded him to Cincinnati. Had they held on to him, even if they picked you up, they would have had a halfway decent 5.
Could have been their point guard. And I'd have played some defense. The rest of them couldn't play defense, of course.
1 and 2 to Gantner, starting it off in the last half of the 6th.
Stoddard's 3rd ball game, all in relief, of course. He's got to win under his belt.
Fastball misses. 2 and 2.
Will the Yankee pitching hold up? Everybody said it's a bad pitching staff coming in. I don't think it's that bad. And when you play 81 games in Yankee Stadium, a forgiving ballpark on dirt and grass, your pitching staff doesn't have to be as strong as most to win it.
Reaches for it, hits it down the left field line. Henderson closes ground and takes it easily.
There's some very, very defensive swings. Let's go to Jimmy Cephalo for an update on Sportsnet.
Bob, things continue to go poorly for the Atlanta Braves. This single by Steve Sachs brought Sean Shelby around. That increased the Dodger lead to 6-3 over Atlanta. And as that game goes into the 6th, the Braves are in danger of setting a new National League record with their season-opening 10th straight loss. Back to Milwaukee.
Dark days for Chuck Tanner, Bobby Cox, and the rest of the folks in Atlanta. Here's Swain. Checks the swing and takes a ball.
Had a chance to see last year when the team began to struggle, Atlanta Braves, the last few months, how great a player Dale Murphy really is. He put perhaps his best numbers on the board last year, almost any time in his career. You wonder how sometimes.
Hit 44 homers. Earlier, we put a score on the screen that had Houston beating Cincinnati 8-2. Sorry about that, Reds fans. This turns out to be the correct score. The Reds won it 8-2. Jose Rio is now 3-1 over from Oakland. Ernie Camacho, the former Indian pitcher, loses it in relief of Bob Knepper.
Rio throws strikes. What a plus. Pete's team, Pete Rose's team, finished second 3 years in a row. They had a great bullpen to start with. Last year, you look at those numbers. Franco and Murphy and Williams et al.
Bo Diaz hit a homer for the Reds, his 3rd, off to a hot start. Swaim hangs in there.
You see where Mrs. Schott, the owner, gave Pete Rose, start of the season, a bridesmaid veil. Walked around and joked with his players about. Finished second 3 years in a row. I bet he looked cute in it.
Yeah. Well, since the Reds are playing Houston, perhaps now is an opportune time for Mrs. Schott to swing a trade and acquire Bob Knepper. I'm sure he would love to toil for a woman in a position of authority. Either that or be dealt to the Padres, owned by Joan Kroc. 8-2 Milwaukee, last half of the 6th. Nobody on, 1 out, and another 2-2 pitch from Stoddard to Swaim, and he got him swinging. So up comes Molitor, who's 2 for 3 with a stolen base thrown in. He scored a couple of runs. Almost exactly the same time his 39-game hitting streak ended last August. Benito Santiago, the National League's Rookie of the Year, as it turned out, began his 34-game streak for the Padres. There wasn't as much excitement attached to that, simply because there weren't enough games left in the season. Even had Santiago continued, and he was stopped in the season's last week, not enough games for him to approach DiMaggio. So the mystique wasn't there. 2-0.
Molitor, coming through spring training, was going to be their second baseman, with Gantner moving to 3rd. Then the shoulder injury, had to be the DH.
Hit softly into center field. Here comes Washington. It's going to drop in front of him. Molitor has 3 hits. And while we're on the subject, we might as well take care of this week's trivia question. We all know about the 56 consecutive games in 1941. And you may also know that playing in the Pacific Coast League for San Francisco in 1933, the 18-year-old DiMaggio hit in 61 straight. That was in the minors. But what was his second longest major league hitting streak after the record 56?
I know there's a man in the ballpark that is interested in that and could tell you the answers so quickly it'd boggle your mind. Kenny Keltner doesn't miss a Brewers game. He's the man who stopped Joe D's 56 game streak. Made 2 great plays at third base. He was here yesterday, somewhere today, I'm sure.
Yount skies one to right. Winfield goes back. It's carrying, but on the track, he makes the catch. Yount is retired for the first time today. He had doubled, homered, and walked prior to that. So after 6, it's 8-2, and we'll be back after these messages from your local station. So we're back at County Stadium in Milwaukee. Bob Costas along with Tony Kubek. You know, last year the Yankees played under 500 baseball on the road. They had won 4 straight on the road after an opening road loss at Toronto coming into today's game, but trail 8-2 as they come up here in the 7th with the bottom of their order: Washington, Slaught, and Meacham. You know, when Catfish Hunter was inducted into the Hall of Fame last year, Commissioner Uberoth said on the steps of the museum at Cooperstown he deserved to be enshrined simply for playing for both Charlie Finley and George Steinbrenner in one career. Well, the guy you're looking at here not only played for Finley and Steinbrenner, but also played for Ted Turner in Atlanta. Claudel has seen it all.
Like 19 years old, or just turned 19 when he came up. And outstanding runner with a throwing arm. Perhaps never realized the potential regarding consistency with a bat in his hand, but he's had some good years. And he's a great role player for this team. Playing in the outfield positions, he can DH, veteran who can pinch it for you.
Hit 279 a year ago. Drove in 44 in limited duty. Still only 33 years old.
Last year with the injuries, they were forced to play people like Gary Ward and Claudel Washington more than they wanted in a starting role rather than as substitutes.
Slapped to short. Swain throws him out. What's the longest hitting streak you ever had?
I have no idea.
Well, obviously it couldn't have been all that long then, because someone would have brought it to your attention. Well, the question before the House: second longest major league hitting streak for DiMaggio after the record 56.
With agents, there's a lot more emphasis on paying attention. The agents tell you, as they use it for arbitration, as far as what you did or what you should do. You know, people run around with incentives for things that try and protect themselves in certain areas, whether it's a gold glove or whatever else, and that's not good.
Slaught hitting .500, 13 for 26. Looks to bunt. It's a good one. In comes Riles. Bare hands. Doesn't get him. Throw squirts away. Slaught won't advance. It would have been a very close play, but he'll be given a base hit here.
That's one of those which may have been a called bunt by Billy Martin. He sees the third baseman Riles with one out playing way back and off the line. Basio didn't really bounce off the mound. He was not expecting it. So again, Billy trying to get something going. He had Claudel Washington taking a strike, leading off the 7th. Now he has him dropping a bunt down. It used to be called Billy Ball. Remember at Oakland, Billy didn't like the term. He said this is just good, sound, fundamental baseball. But most of what Billy does on the bases and with an offense are things that he learned from the late Casey Stengel. Casey was big on double steals, even though it wasn't a stealing era. The Yankees were a big hitting ball club.
Meacham tries to drop one himself. Well, this year's edition of the Elias Baseball Analyst has devised a formula, and under that formula they say that this man, Billy Martin, is the greatest manager in the history of baseball. Now, everyone in baseball really respects the research done by Seymour Seiwoff and the Hurt brothers, Steve and Peter, in the Elias Baseball Analyst, but that one is going to stir some debate.
What did they say? He's worth 5 games a year because of the way, and he has a knack, and it's not very scientific. He doesn't keep computer cards. like Earl Weaver did or like Davey Johnson does with computers, but it's almost like an art form with Billy, setting up a lineup. And that's why he scores early in ball games so often, although not today. He stacks hitters together with high on-base averages and does different things by feel, and they seem to work wherever he goes.
The Elias people devised a complex formula by which they were able to judge how many games a team should win with the average manager, given its personnel and its circumstances. And then they noted the difference, plus or minus, that the manager made in each situation. Now, Billy might get a break under that formula because he's inherited so many poor teams and given them a quick jolt, a quick fix situation. They've improved rapidly, and then he's been gone rapidly. Hit to Riles. They get one. They don't turn two as Meacham beats it at the other end.
Just saw a good example of the proper way, or the book rule way, to try and take out a runner. A straight slide, no roll block, as we saw earlier with Henderson. And McClellan was watching it carefully. Remember earlier, Ricky Henderson, who went into a roll block. McClellan called the runner out at the other end, sent Meacham back to second base. So Schlott this time with a clean slide. I've always felt that if they were going to allow the runners to take roll blocks or go way out of the baseline, then they should allow you to get away with the phantom tag, because a middle infielder's got to do something to avoid illegal slides. If they enforce that, then they better start touching the bag at second base.
Henderson swings on the first one. Fly ball to right center. Braggs and Yount. They collide. Yount goes down. Braggs has the ball. Robin's a pretty sturdy guy, but anyone who collides with Braggs, this side of Arnold Schwarzenegger, is going to come out second best. Now here's a look back at a very special Olympic moment. Not this one, but the one you're about to see. Folks, in response to hundreds of phone calls, yes, we got off on the wrong foot with the first trivia question a week ago. Actually, there are only 4 players who fit this description. We gave you the answer of Ruth, Mize, Aaron, DiMaggio, and Mays. Mays does not belong on the list, so we're 0 for 1. And now we see the very moderate reaction of NBC executives when I returned to the office. Just a mild reprimand for the error. But undaunted, we return for week 2. Now, a lot of people would just pack it in here. You know, Tony, they'd give it up. But a real champion comes off the deck and comes right back out swinging.
You folks might have noticed it was Bob's trivia question, but Tony's trivia wrong answer. What is going on here?
All right, now looking to bat 500. We come out with this week's trivia, which has been thoroughly researched. Believe me. How long was Joe DiMaggio's second longest major league hitting streak? The answer coming up after this pitch from Stoddard. 23 games, the year before the big one.
Obviously a correct answer, because it doesn't say Tony's trivia answer. You doctored that baby up to get me.
Surhoff in the last of the 7th with the Brewers leading 8-2. Let's see if Paliarulo has room. Over near the Yankee dugout, he's got it. Isn't it amazing, though, that Willie Mays never led the National League in RBIs? He had some big years, but they always came at a time when someone else had the season of his life. For example, in 1962, Willie hit 49 homers and had better than 140 RBIs, but Tommy Davis drove in over 150 that year for the Dodgers. So scratch Mays from the list, and the correct answer is 4. Mize, Aaron, DiMaggio, and Ruth. Case closed. Brock has been a big story today. This 3-run homer got the Brewers off and winging in the first.
The pitcher can just throw strikes today. You don't have to nibble at this time of day. The sky as a background. You can see the sun from the shade, through the sun, into the shade. Tough to hit. Defensive swings, tough to come back.
Wrapped to second. Willie Randolph is in front of it. 2 quick outs. Well, what about this thing in the Elias analyst? With Billy as the #1 manager of all time. Just to put it in perspective, the same list has Bobby Cox, undeniably a fine manager, but they have Bobby Cox ahead of Earl Weaver. They have Herman Franks ahead of Casey Stengel.
I didn't see the formula they used. There obviously has to be some kind of subjectivity in that. It can't be all documented, and it makes for interesting controversy. And I agree with you. Who gives you better data than the Elias Sports Bureau? I mean, it's read religiously by broadcasters, writers, but you stir up a hornet's nest, as you said. You can't argue with the results, though. You know, no matter what they say about Billy and his off-field antics and dislike of marshmallow salesman, doggone guy puts a team on the field, and this time he's inherited a good team. Perhaps the best offensive team he's ever had when you put Clark's bat in there as it is the last couple of days. I mean, it's a ball club that could averaging, which is almost unheard of, average 6 runs per game over 162. That's how potent they can be. And if Roberto Kelly starts hitting a little bit with his great speed, it's another base stealer that you've got along with Ricky Henderson. They have a high on-base average. They'll have base runners against even good pitchers all year long.
That's the young man from Panama who's been platooning in center field with Claudell Washington.
He can run. He is, when he's out in center field, it's the best defensive outfield in baseball. Henderson, Winfield, and Roberto Kelly in center.
2-2 to Deere with 2 out and nobody on. 8-2 Brewers, last half of the 7th. Deere has singled, stolen a base, struck out, and then grounded out, picking up an RBI in the process in the 5th.
Billy Martin has been famous, and Art Fowler too, getting a lot of complete games out of his pitching staff. Some said he hurt the pitching staff he had with all those complete games at Oakland. 3 of those 4 pitchers deny that. In fact, he's got Rick Langford now. Billy does at Columbus, and he's thrown a couple of good ball games for that ball club. So there's a chance that if his arm comes back, he might be up here.
More trouble brewing for the Braves. 6-3 Dodgers in the 6th. Well, when you mention Langford, it brings up the argument that would be advanced by some of Billy's detractors. You give Billy credit for taking a team beyond its expectations, like he did with Oakland. But they would argue there's a lingering effect. Half the young pitchers on that team blew their arms out. And the long-range effect might have been worse than the short-term benefit.
Art Fowler's pitching coach, one who believes you've got to throw a lot. And the more you throw, the more effective you are, and the stronger your arm gets. Mike Norris, in fact, who was on that staff also, Billy wanted him in spring training. I guess that was vetoed by the front office, but Langford is back in the Yankee organization. There's Art Fowler. He said, don't show me on camera. He said, my wife still thinks I'm with the Dodgers. I didn't know I'm back with the Yankees.
Rags gets under one and hoists it to left. Here's Henderson. Well, Mrs. Fowler, we certainly hope that you're over the shock. We wanted to break it to you as gently as possible. Your man is with Billy, and neither is smiling today. We'll be back. Superstars tomorrow on NBC. No question this guy's a superstar, but the old-timers would cringe at that fly ball catching technique. The finals at 4 Eastern Time. Herschel Walker, track and field's Ronaldo Nehemiah, just 2 of the people vying for the title on Sports World. Down by 6.
You didn't like Ricky's stylish catch?
I didn't say I didn't like it. I just said some who stress the fundamentals wouldn't approve. Chuck Krim comes on. Bosio stands to get the victory. Here's a tapper behind the bag at second. Swaim comes up with it and throws Willie Randolph out.
Once again, Swaim showing that outstanding range to his left. It would be interesting to see if there are any balls hit to his right, what he does. So many times the shortstop has a middle infielders really have a weak side they go to and a strong side. He has shown his strong side ranging to his left. We haven't seen him try to go to his right yet.
Mattingly singled his last time. Takes a ball from Krim, who's 26 years old, a native of Van Nuys, California. 6-footer, 170. Worked in yesterday's game and was touched for an 8th inning homer by Don Slaught.
He was one of the surprise stories of last year's Brewer team. Wasn't supposed to make the ball club, went through spring training last season, had a good spring, and just kept pitching better and better. He got some starts last year. They perhaps looked more toward long relief. What they're trying to do is get through this inning, and then it probably will be Plesac to come on and finish it off. Tom Trevelhorn didn't want to against a hitting team like this. Tomorrow's still to come. go to Plesac for more than one inning unless he had to. Like to be able to use him a couple days in a row.
Looks like Donnie broke his bat.
Mattingly is an incredibly hard worker. He's hooked up. I've forgotten the name. It's some kind of visual machine for reflexes where he's done it for about 3 years now. It's something that's been marketing. Pelirulo has done it, a lot of others. It's called AccuVision or whatever it is, but it's for eyesight, hand-eye coordination, quickening reflexes, and he feels it's helped him with his hitting. In the minor leagues, hit the ball the other way, didn't pull much, and then Mickey Vernon was his minor league hitting instructor. He said, I'm not going to touch this kid. And a few little fine points, and then Piniella got him to use his lower body. He's hit for power.
Riles plays it with his chest and has time to recover. So Mattingly is 1 for 4. Dodgers now with a 7-4 lead over the Braves. Bottom of the 7th at Dodger Stadium. White Sox in front of Oakland 3-1. Clark hasn't put the ball in play yet today. Struck out twice and walked on a very close 3-2 pitch. Breaking ball swung on and missed.
Of course, in Yankee Stadium, I would guess it's because of Jack Clark. They've moved the fences in left center field a little bit more and in dead center field.
Well, they'll tell you that decision was made before the acquisition of Clark. They wanted to enlarge that Memorial Park area where the monuments and the plaques honoring the past Yankee greats reside. They wanted to give the fans a bigger area to move around in when viewing that piece of Yankee history. Another curve, another swing and a miss.
Well, they've enlarged it to the point where the visiting bullpen is so obscure the players can't even see the playing field. Bill Blyleven went there the first time as the player rep for the Twins, and he filed a grievance, and we can't even see the game out there. They talked about shortening the dimensions for Winfield when they got it.
Whoa, there goes the bat, and Clark is struck out for the 3rd time. They can just put it in the rack for him. Take care of it, Ricky. So that left center field dimension, which once was a long 457, has been gradually reduced to 399. As even the newest baseball fans know, this telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. That little doll is one of 24,972 here today on a gorgeous afternoon. Yesterday, very blustery, almost bitterly cold day. They drew just under 56,000, which was the largest opening day crowd in the majors anywhere this year and the biggest regular season crowd in Milwaukee Brewer history. In comes Guterman to work the last half of the 8th.
It's been a remarkable franchise. Bud Selig went to winter meeting after winter meeting to try and get a team back here. Then they got Harry Dalton. They went out and got free agents. They won. Then they had to rebuild. They're doing that. Bruce Manor, the farm director. This organization for a couple of years in a row has been had the farm system of the year, voted by Baseball America. A kid named Gary Sheffield, remember the name, Dwight Gooden's nephew, who they say can hit here now, and he's only 19 years old. He's a shortstop at Sheffield, but they say he may end up being a third baseman.
2-0 to Riles, followed by Gantner. Lines it to left. It's in there for a hit. So the Brewers, in possibly their last at-bat, looking to build on an 8-2 lead.
This will be interesting now with the stop. I want you to watch a left-hander now. We showed you a rule earlier about the intent to deceive a base runner. Now, even if Guterman comes to the stop, let's watch his head and his front foot. If he does anything funny, technically, according to the way they're calling this thing, the intent to deliberately deceive, it's got to be called a balk. What is he trying to do right there with that leg kick? He's trying to deceive the runner deliberately. That's what he's supposed to be doing, trying to hold him close.
We've had only one balk called today, that on the right-hander Rodent, for failure to step directly toward first base when making a throw over there, not for failing to come to a discernible stop before working to the plate.
The intent to deceive. Watch this. You're on first base. Now he's looking at you, the leg kick. Hey, if they're going to start picking apart moves and discernible stops at all, that's going to be a balk, according to the intent to deceive. It's gotten to be silly.
Paliarulo is able to stop it. Does he recover in time? He does, to get Gantner. Clete Boyer is back with the Yanks as Billy Martin's third base coach. Few, if any, were in his class with the glove. Brooks Robinson, maybe. Billy Cox. Maybe a more recent Yankee like Greg Nettles. But there's Clete right in the middle, rubbing his hands together. He manned the left side of the infield along with you, Tony, and he's worked with Paliarulo to improve his work at third base.
He worked with Carney Lansford when he coached over there when Carney was at Oakland.
He had an interesting observation about Pags. He said that when a hot shot was hit over the bag at third, Pags would dive, but he was diving almost straight down and missing the ball. He got him to dive more flat out, more parallel to the ground, to have a better chance to stop that ball hit directly over the third base bag.
It hurts to dive straight down also. So burrowing nose first. I can just picture that. Paint a nice picture.
Well, straight down in a relative sense. Not talking about the Greg Louganis off the high board. Switch hitter Swain turns around to the right side. You interpret my remarks as literally as the umps interpret the balk rule.
I'm having difficulty believing you and the umps at times.
One out, one on, and a 1-1 count to Swain in the last half of the eighth. 8-2 Milwaukee. 3-run homer by Brock. 2-run homer by Yount. They're the big blows. This one is hit softly into left center. Henderson coming on. Drops in front of him. Riles being waved home. It's 9-2 Milwaukee.
Been a lot of defensive swings over the last 4 or 5 innings with the conditions here. Starting time right around 3 o'clock. Little those swings, just putting the bat on the ball. Swain, as we told you, struck out about 130 plus times last year, but he knew one thing: I've just got to put it in play. Guterman doesn't throw hard. He stayed with a breaking ball that was down, was almost going to be scooped out of the dirt by Slot. He gets himself a ribby.
Molitor has a stolen base to go with those 3 singles today. He scored twice. Ball 1 to him.
Interesting if we talked about Billy Martin wanting more complete games from his pitching staff. He's got people like Candelaire, who's completed a game against Toronto. Dotson has completed a game. Roden, opening day. If there's a soft spot, is it the bullpen until they get to Righetti?
This one is hit softly in the right center. Winfield in front of Washington for the catch. So Molitor is now 3 for 5. You know, last year with Piniella rather than Martin managing, the Yankees got just 19 complete games, one of the lowest figures in the majors. But even more significantly, only 64 times did the Yankee starter pitch 6 complete innings. That's less than 40% of the time, even getting you to the 7th where your bullpen could take over.
We've got to remember Tommy John's age. If Guidry comes back, shoulder problems after surgery.
Guterman throws Yount out and will move to the 9th. The Yankees are down by 7. They'll send up Paliarulo, Winfield, and Washington.